A concerning development from our neighboring country. According to a new report by the World Bank, nearly 2 million people in Bangladesh have slipped back into poverty this year. As economic stress deepens across the country, the national poverty rate is projected to rise to 21.2%, up from 20.5% just a year ago. But while Bangladesh struggles, a very different story is unfolding in India, a country where poverty has sharply declined over the last decade. The World Bank's latest report warns that Bangladesh is reeling from an economic downturn nearly comparable to the COVID-19 period. GDP growth has slowed from around 6% pre-crisis to roughly 4% this year, squeezing incomes and livelihoods. It estimates that nearly 2 million people have fallen back into poverty this year. As a result, the national poverty rate is projected to touch 21.2%, reversing some of the gains made in recent years. The downturn has hit vulnerable households hardest. 62 million people are just above the poverty line, with unstable consumption, limited savings, and inadequate social protection. For them, inflation and shrinking incomes could easily tip them back into destitution. The job market, too, has taken a hit. Between 2023 and 2024, employment fell by nearly 2 million, and a further 800,000 jobs are expected to be lost this year, especially impacting women and youth. Earlier efforts had reduced poverty. Rural poverty had fallen more rapidly than urban between 2016 and 2022. But the structural weakness of the economy now threatens to undo much of that progress. Analysts point out that Bangladesh's poverty reduction model was always fragile. Its so-called poverty reduction elasticity, that is how much poverty falls for each 1% growth in the economy, stood at just 0.9%, significantly lower than the South Asian average of 1.5%. So what does that mean? For every percentage point of economic growth, poverty reduction has been weaker compared with neighbors, making gains harder to sustain in times of stress. The recent slowdown has exposed these structural vulnerabilities. Job quality is deteriorating. Labor income's contribution to poverty reduction has dropped significantly from 89% in 2020, that is in 2010 to 2016, to just 51% in 2016 to 2022, meaning less resilience in bad times. For many households near the edge, with limited savings and weak social protection, even a small shock like inflation or job loss pushes them back into hardship. So while Bangladesh grapples with the resurgence of poverty, India's recent statistics tell a more hopeful story. Now, according to recent data compiled by the Press Information Bureau and analyses by the World Bank, India has made remarkable strides in reducing poverty over the past decade. At the international poverty line of $3.65 per day, the poverty rate fell from 61.8% in 2011 to 2012 to 28.1% in 2022 to 2023, lifting approximately 378 million people out of monetary poverty. In rural areas, extreme poverty fell from 18.4% to just 2.8% during that period. In urban areas, it dropped from 10.7% to only 1.1%. On the broader measure of multi-dimensional poverty, which accounts not just for income but also indicators like health, education and living standards, the national poverty headcount ratio declined from 29.17% in 2013 to 2014 to 11.28% in 2022 to 2023. That means roughly 248 million people escaped multi-dimensional poverty in 9 years. The gains have been broad-based, covering both rural and urban areas, showing a shift in structural living conditions, not merely income levels. Experts credit India's success to a combination of sustained economic growth plus a suite of targeted policies focused on inclusive development. Beyond just raising incomes, recent success stories from Kerala show how a focused state-level push can make a difference. Under its flagship program launched in 2021, Kerala announced that it has lifted tens of thousands of extremely poor families out of deprivation, claiming the state is free from extreme poverty.